Hi everyone, this is Boris recording our. Wait, which one is it? This is episode 4. And I'll just give a short introduction to the guy sitting across from me. We started doing this, I don't think we were even drunk. I think we did it really sober. And then maybe gradually drunk.
We should fix that, yeah.
And now today on the menu is red wine from the supermarket. Anyway, it's not too bad. It's not. We're not going to get too
Hammered.
Too hammered.
Yes.
But
Slosh.
is that a word?
Rekt. I'm just making stuff up.
Okay. That's what we do in the podcast. We just invent new words. And let's. Okay. Hey, this is a new topic. Okay. What do you think? I didn't even introduce my guest.
No, there's no need to introduce me.
Okay, he's not a guest anymore. He's a homeboy for podcasting.
Homeboy.
We don't even have a name for the podcast. It's just Movie Messenger Podcast.
Okay.
We are recording in Bangkok. Hopefully, people from Bangkok also listen to this and realize that there's a podcast like this.
Yeah. Two jokers making a fool out of themselves on the internet.
Or everything that we can think of, right? So I think it's a really good point that I sort of bring about by accident. Is what do you think about, like, we are using a determined number of words, right? Like, do you know? I think there's a requirement whenever there's a word used, I think 10,000 times, it becomes it can appear in the dictionary. Do you know this?
I did not know that. No.
So, like, when you said what did you say? Like, for hammered synonyms?
Sloshed, Rekt, something like that. Yeah.
Sloshed seems, but erect seems really sexual. Like,
yeah. Really.
Again, alcohol and sex go together. But sloshed seems more appropriate, meaning it's like more liquidy. The sound. Sloshed.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Is that a word? I don't know. We should look it up. I'm pretty sure it's a word.
Okay, it's we should look it up. So we had a lot of topics, and this time we are more organized than before.
We have a list.
First time we did really improvised. We just went. How do you say? We just winged it.
Yeah.
Right? So now I just if I see my list, I have on the top of my list. Since this is movie centered. I just wanted to, I think you haven't seen it, but I wanted to recommend it to you. It's the reboot of Planet of the Apes.
Right.
I don't know if both of the movies are directed by Matt Reeves. Actually, Matt Reeves is now the director chosen to direct the next Batman movie. That's how I know his name.
Oh, okay.
So, and I don't know if Ben Affleck is going to still play the Batman. There's a lot of speculations behind it. Maybe he will not. Maybe he will. I mean, nobody knows.
Batman v Superman, that was his first Batman.
No. Batman v Superman was directed by Zack Snyder.
No, the actor, I mean Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, yeah. That was his first movie as Batman, yeah.
Did that fly? Did people like that? I've not seen the movie.
I mean, to be honest, I like
Was
this.
he a good Batman?
I like this Batman. Okay. Yeah, he was a Batman which sort of was, for that universe, for that type of world, he was a good Batman. Was he comic book appropriate? But now that's another question. I think, comic book fans maybe will get are maybe too picky on their Batman.
Okay.
But anyway, like Matt Reeves is and we were also talking about the lack of numbering in this reboot. We don't know which one is first. We don't know which. But I remember I saw, when I was in France, the first reboot, which was, I think...
The first reboot. Now you have to tell me, like, when did the first one come? When was the first Planet of the Apes?
Planet of the Apes, if I'm not mistaken, initially is a book, I think, or a series, book series. Okay. And it was adapted into a movie, I guess, in the 70s.
Sure.
But with Charlton Heston.
Okay.
Have you seen those movies?
No.
Okay. He's one of the movies cited whenever they talk about twist endings, because there's a really big twist ending at the end.
Oh, okay.
And then, like, it was, I've watched it, but it's been so long. It's been a long time. I didn't see it again, so I don't remember like what was so good about it. But I really loved it. And then they made a reboot. I don't remember the year, but I was in France and we watched in cinema the first reboot. It was called Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And actually, So the main character, is called Caesar, and so it's starring James Franco and what's that Indian girl who was in Slumdog Millionaire, Frida Pinto, right? Yeah.
No clue.
Okay, and of course the motion capture done by Andy Serkis,
Right,
the king.
What year is this? This is recent, right? This is not that far back.
Recent, like I think within 10 years, I guess.
This decade.
Yeah.
Right.
Within this decade, yes. And the second one is so actually, okay, it will not spoil the movie, but at the end, sort of they just show the virus spreading all over the world like this.
I think I've seen that one.
So it's really good. It has John Lithgow as James Franco's father. And I mean, it's really good movie. And the second one is which I just saw, I think last month, because everybody was talking about it. Like it's one of the best trilogy. So I've not seen the third one, which just came in cinema. So the second one is called Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, right?
Right.
And then the third one, which just came out, is called War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is where Woody Harrelson was in it, and there was like, I think.
I've not seen this one.
Yeah. So and sort of, if I have to summarize, the second one is it's really well directed, and you sort of you really feel good when you feel like you are in control of you are in good hands, right? Like, have you seen Arrival?
No, still not. We talked about this
but I mean, I think I can give any other movie about a really good director like Martin Scorcese. If you go to his movies, you just feel like you're in good hands. Like he sort of, you would not see some scene and you go, well, what the?
Like you're taken aback.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
And so this is what
I felt.
This is what I felt about watching the movie, and it's like everything falls into place really well. Like it's
like when you look at a scene, you're like, of course I would do it like that.
Yeah.
I would do it no other way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just know it's perfect when you know it's done that way, and you're like, oh, of course.
It's no, it's really well. It's really good, and and talking about this, and so I really recommend it. So you should watch the 2 and.
I think I've seen the last one, so I don't have to. This is the only one I've not seen. Then
it's I think the first one they fight. There's the really huge fight on the
bridge. Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah. That one I've seen.
Did you like it?
I like that movie.
Yeah, so it's a good movie. So you should watch I think it's a really good trilogy. And after I watch the third one, I'll confirm if it's a good trilogy or not. Because sometimes, like even with Nolan's trilogy of Batman, even the third one,
not really. No.
It's a bit stuffy. And also, it was not a really good. I mean, easy task, but. Okay, anyways.
A whole different discussion.
Yeah. Now, talking about the reboots and stuff, we were talking about the timelessness of things, right? Like when someone says, of course, you will be precious about the things you grew up with, whether it's a song or a movie or a series.
Definitely.
Right? So, like whenever they say that Citizen Kane is like the best movie of all time, right? I don't want to hurt any feelings, but like I don't really feel that. Do you see what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it goes back into that timelessness thing, right? It's the movie did a lot of things. The film showed us that here's this different way of going about, Sure, yeah, definitely. But if you watch it now, after decades of movies that have already learned up all the lessons that film had on offer. And then you go back to the film that started it all. Of course, you're not going to look at it and say, "Wow, that's amazing." No, you don't. But if you had seen it then, you'd be like, "Of course, this movie is great." So, I'm sure it's an important film, right? It did a lot of things right, and it did those things for the first time. So, tip of the hat. They did that. But am I going to watch it today and really enjoy it? Probably not. Right.
But there are, I don't know about the, I feel too old saying this, but the next generation, the generation who grew up on smartphones, will they still have the same effect watching Rear Window or Dial M for Murder as we did? There's a charm behind it. Like I was also talking about this with someone else. because there's a really good. Have you seen the Time Machine? It's
No.
You should watch it. It's really good. It's based on H.G. Wells. I think it's like it was like the blueprint for all the time travel movies that came up.
Okay.
But after watching so many time travel movies, now if you watch it, it's not so much the story that compels you. It's more like it's really interesting to see what was the future, the definition of future for them at that time, right? And now our definition of future is really different.
Sure. Was that movie is that movie timeless? You think that was a timeless?
For me, it's timeless. But if I talk to my son, I mean, if I ask, I talk to my son, maybe he will have a different opinion.
Okay.
He will be like, yeah, but why do you like? I don't understand why you like this. It's like, okay, let me take another example. Now we have 5th of October. By the way, book the date. We have Blade Runner.
Let's totally watch that.
2049 coming out, right?
Yeah,
and actually they made anime called Blade Runner 2022.
Okay.
Because this is a sequel, right? So they made an anime just to explain like what happened between.
Yeah. And that's out already?
I think I didn't click on it, but I remember seeing it on YouTube for free. So I think you can watch it.
All right.
So Blade Runner 2022.
Okay. All right.
And so, like, for example, like we understand the effect that Blade Runner had on science fiction, on cyberpunk, and like the way they sort of knit philosophy into. But if we show it really to another person, like, would they really understand the event that is?
It is a good question, and it depends on what people take away from the film. Like I took something else away from Blade Runner. Like you just mentioned, the whole tying in with the philosophical aspects. For me, it was just atmosphere. For me, it was, oh my god, this film has done atmosphere like I've never seen before, right? And I go back to that movie for that, right? And I can do that today. I didn't watch Blade Runner when it came out. I wasn't even here, right? But now the people tell me, oh, you should watch Blade Runner. I watch Blade Runner. That's the thing that really gets me. The music, the atmosphere, the visuals, the things they do with colors, and just the guy walking down, Harrison Ford walking down the streets, and there's this Chinese shops everywhere. I'm like, that's science fiction. Yes, please give me more of that.
There's I think there's a secret history that a lot of people don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that Ridley Scott, because Ridley Scott is he's I think student of art school, and his storyboards are like really beautiful artwork that you can really frame.
It shows, it shows in the film.
But he also was inspired by a guy. Actually, okay, I think his name is Dan O'Bannon, the guy who wrote Alien, right? So he wrote a comic book before called The Long Tomorrow.
Okay.
And he wrote it for with an artist called Mobius, who's like this really famous French artist of bande dessinée, like comic book. And when he illustrated this story, I think it was a short story called Long Tomorrow, the way he drew the city was the same design as that Ridley Scott used for Blade Runner. So there's a really a lot of people don't know, but there's a documentary about this. And Mobius is one of these artists who is really well known among the cult crowd.
Right.
So again, do you think the answer might be yes or no, right? Because it depends on really how open or.
It goes back to like we took the example of Citizen Kane, right? That movie, it was an important film, right? Doesn't make it timeless film. Right? Those are two different things. Was Blade Runner an important film? I don't know. Was probably less important than Citizen Kane, because Citizen Kane came in and then it changed the way films were being made. Right? So Blade Runner probably did the same thing with science fiction.
Yeah, there are
to some extent. I don't know.
I always cite that there are things that, like for example, I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, and there was a comedian called Richard Pryor who sort of changed the way people do stand-up comedy now.
Right.
Because back in the day, it used to be jokes. Mostly jokes and not observational comedy.
Right.
Or people didn't used to. They couldn't swear, and I remember there was as a bonus or extra in. Eddie Murphy's Raw he has done a stand-up comedy. Right. It looks like excellent. And there's a DVD extra in which you see a footage from Richard Pryor doing one of his first gigs in a club, and you could like sort of hear the people bothered really to laugh because he's like, so there's like a real weird vibe. But he changed like stand-up comedy because then everybody started swearing and.
I imagine this happens in every medium.
And even Marlon Brando, when people saw him act, like they would say, "Oh, we could do this," and then there was a
method acting. We're allowed to do that. Yeah. Nobody ever thought of it before. It's like I think Citizen Kane did that. Right, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So
they just showed it shows up. It does this thing really differently, and everyone agrees. Yeah, sure. Let's every time we do this thing where we make a film, let's do that thing that film did because it's just everyone agrees it's just the better way of doing it, right?
But then as a movie or for a storytelling, of course it has a twist and there's a but it's have you seen Family Guy? There's an episode where no they do cutaways, right? They do like short
they do a
jokes.
lot of that. I know.
So there's a point where they say, "Yeah, Peter, you just went to all the stores and recorded you just spoiled the ending for everyone for Citizen Kane," and they show the footage. Actually, you are just watching a movie, and then suddenly there's Peter on the screen. He just pops up and he says, "Yeah, Rosebud is the is the sledge when he was a kid. I just saved you 2 hours of boobless movie." So I mean, there are also some people who think like that. So it's
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So okay, that's a good. We sort of touched on Blade Runner and Citizen Kane like I wanted. No. We were talking about. I think last time you answered already. Like, what is the best movie? We couldn't really like point out.
Yeah, I mentioned.
And now we had a really interesting discussion before recording, which was. Does the movie have to be show, don't tell, or tell, don't show?
I think it's a personal preference thing, right?
Yeah. It's what is I forgot the example that I took. Okay, for example, when we talk about Rear Window, there's in the opening sequence.
Right.
The camera just pans to his library, and there's a picture of him taking a picture of the race and the car crashing, and they show us the broken camera. So immediately you understand that this guy was obviously at this race taking the photo, and the car just, and there was an accident, and so that's why he's in a wheelchair. Now, if this was done by another, I'm thinking about Indian movies, for example. If this was done, either it will be a flashback where it will all be, everything will be in black and white or something. I'm not I'm not saying everything, but if you are being lazy about the exposition, right? Or there will be someone
the
talking.
Exposition psychic, right? Who comes in and tells everyone
or someone
about where this comes from and why things are the way they are.
So that's when we talked about there's a really beauty in showing, not tell. Right. But again, I'm also pulled in the other direction where I was talking about my friend Siddharth, who's one of my best friends, and I hope he listens to this podcast because you want
to make that movie.
I think he does, and also he's like a movie buff, so, and he just told me a story. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this because I don't know how many people know about that, but okay. Okay. Anyway, I don't think the other people. But he was just telling this really beautiful story about a crime thriller, and everything happens in one room, and that's the favorite kind of movie.
12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men. I mean, Thing is not in the movie, but it's still claustrophobic, and Hateful Eight. The movie starts outside, but the main plot happens in the. What's the name? I forgot this. In this tavern, and he was just saying we will not when the character just is describing the crime of the crime scene or what happened or the witnesses, we will not show it. We will just let the people figure it out by themselves. And that's also interesting, like the theater of the mind. And I talked about Lights Out, which is. They used to do this when there was no television, radio. There's a radio show where a creepy lady with a creepy voice, like a witch,
at the back.
Yeah, with sound effects at the back, telling a really scary story. And sometimes if you watch that, I mean, if you listen to that just in a dark room, I think you will go crazy because it's has just as much impact. I don't know. It's like now we're like we talked about it. Like you have not seen it. I think I have not seen it.
No.
But it's of course it's like it will be jump scare central. But
right.
But
actually, I don't know.
A lot of people sort of
Annabelle was jump scare central.
But a lot of people like really liked it, and like I was just saying that if I watch it, like I'm really scared to watch it. To be honest, like some people will call me pussy. I don't care. But like, that's the way I am. Like if I don't know, my mind is just amplifies any impactful imagery I have or I come across. So it's I think that's what makes me creative, but also that's what makes me like a Lucy when it comes to scary movies. But I mean, okay, we talked about Shining, which is like a more which sets up the tone for. But if I watch it, I think if I go to bed, like I'll just see clown faces everywhere, like that's face popping up. What about? Do you have like? Did you? What was the scariest movie for you? Like, was there?
Look, what scares me is jump scares. Right?
Okay.
Paranormal activity probably was.
That's
really
a different
scary.
kind of scare because you sort of bump. I mean, you get scared, but then afterwards you smile a little bit, and then it just goes away.
That's that's a scary movie. When you say scary movie, I think about that. Horror, The Shining, right? The things that leave you thinking. I like that a lot more. Is it scary? I don't know. Right?
Okay. When I say scary, stuff, I mean like a movie that sort of stays with you. Like you like sort of
gives you something to think about.
Yeah, like when you're walking alone in a hotel corridor, like you suddenly hits you.
Yeah, I'm definitely never going back to the jump scares. Right, when I'm walking through that corridor, it's more Shining, less Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think the sort of the series of movies which came out after Paranormal Activity, because I think they mimicked it was a really low budget film, but then it made like more than 100 million.
You don't play the same gag twice, right? You don't do it. The first film did it. I think there was a sequel to it. It's just not the same after. You do it once, it's done. You have to move on, find the next gimmick. Because it was a gimmick, right? If it wasn't, then all these movies would have been extremely successful. All the sequels would have been something that, had the same audience, maybe, if not more people watching them. And I'm sure that didn't happen.
And also, I want to talk about it because Stephen King, whose book it's based on, actually, there was do you know there was a TV movie, like a miniseries back then? I think I haven't watched it, but they told me it was also really scary. And, but it's but you know like a little bit about the story of it?
No.
Okay, it's like
got a clown in
it's
it.
Like it's a clown, but it's actually an entity, actually, and then it's just you should be really high or like really fucked up to think about that. Like it's basically a clown entity which just eats children.
Oh, I see.
And it's he lives in this in the underground in the tunnel, like how you call it, like sewers.
Okay.
So he can just pop up in the shower or like there are like really so
I like that.
It's
clown my shower. Why not?
So and Stephen King, he's very prolific, right? We were talking about like if you put all these books together in a bookshop, he will have his own section or maybe his own shop.
Right.
Because he's written so many books, and he even confessed that a lot of the books he has written, I don't know if a lot, but I forgot the name of this book where I think he did some coke because he had some drug problems when he was young.
Oh.
And he wrote this book in a weekend, and he just took some coke and he woke up, and he just found like a pile of pages on his desk of this book. That's what he
No way.
And I think it was like it was a story about like a rabid dog. Anyway, so it's Stephen King who are like they are squeezing to get like make a franchise out of his movies.
Right. Dark Tower
I think like I mean whenever I was watching this movie, And I was thinking like this story is like looks like already a story that we've seen. I mean, again, we go to this timelessness, right? Like maybe when the book came out, the story maybe the story was something new, or the crowd that read it like gave it something new, like it gave it a different flavor. But when you actually try to put it in a film, it just sounds like any other. I don't know, like Transformers was that. Like there was a guy who like tries to destroy the world, and there's a guy or a team who comes to save it. That's really old. I think yeah. So it was. I heard it was a flop, and now they made on Netflix The Mist, the series. They told me it was also not good. So I think it was like the winning. It was like.
Is it doing well because it just came out?
It's it has done. I think it's one of the highest. I mean, fastest grossing horror films. It grossed, I don't know, like 130 something million in first weekend.
Wow.
Because there was a really big hype behind it. Like it's
cool.
So yeah, that's and the other thing I wanted to talk, because you don't really love. I mean, I'm not saying. No, I wasn't talking about horror movies, but I was just talking about superhero movies. But you're not a really big superhero.
I guess not. I'm just
because you're sort of.
I got burnt out. It's not my fault. It's Marvel's fault.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Actually,
they used to be special.
So you didn't see Logan, right?
No.
Okay, I think you should give it a try. It's a really good movie. I really love it.
I'll take your word.
It's because there was an interview where they interview Steven Spielberg talking about superhero movies, because they were already talking about the superhero fatigue, and they were asking like, do you think that superheroes will become like the modern day Western movies? Because there was there were a lot of Western movies, and then there was none, right? And also like there are a lot of common traits between the superhero movie and the Western. So this Logan, what does is that it takes a movie and then just does it in a Western format. It sort of comments itself on its own format. And it's really, I really loved it. It's of course it's not a happy movie. Like it's a really depressing post-apocalyptic.
It's not Marvel. It's a Marvel.
It's actually okay. This is another thing, right? So the character is Marvel. It's from Marvel Comics. But what happened is Marvel was, I think it was in the late 80s or beginning of 90s, they were running into bankruptcy. So they had to sell their IP, their characters to different studios.
I see.
Which is why, like, when you see Wolverine, X-Men, or Fantastic Four, or Deadpool, they're always made by 20th Century Fox and not Marvel Studios.
Right.
So Marvel Studios has, like, for them, Spider-Man used to be 20th Century Fox, and they just realized that what the movies that they were doing were not really captivating. I mean, the Sam Raimi ones were good, like the first and second. But then afterwards, the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, like they just knew it. Like they just gave it to Marvel, and now Marvel made Spider-Man: Homecoming, which really worked out, and people are happy. So I think it will go back to Marvel Studios. I think Logan, you should really give it a try.
I'll give it a shot.
And talking about superhero movies, you were just surprised about this news, and I was really excited because it's so there's this thing where like Marvel is really commercially doing really well with their movies, comic book movies, but on the other side, DC, who's like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Woman really good, it did really well, but the other two movies like Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, and the Man of Steel had mixed reactions. So
not doing so hot.
Yeah, and I forgot where I was going at.
Superhero films.
Yeah, I was just
the news you were talking about. There was something that you read about.
Yeah. So I was just excited that and DC movies. Okay, yeah. Now I got it. Okay. Actually, the DC movies, I think they are really good at taking a sort of not like a big series. I think they shouldn't follow Marvel, where they are trying to build this really huge cinematic universe, which just goes over 20 years or something. I think they should do just like graphic novels, like one-shot stories, like really good movies. Like they just should give like Batman to every different directors, and they just do whatever you want. Like do your take on Batman, or your take on Superman. I think they should do like that. Like and there is a new movie, Joker movie, that Joker origin story that is going to come out.
Being directed by Martin Scorcese.
No, not directed, produced for the moment.
Oh, okay.
So the rumor behind it is because they've already decided that Jared Leto, the guy who played the Joker in Suicide Squad, is not going to be in it. Okay. It's going to be a different Joker.
Okay.
So since Martin Scorsese is producing it, everybody's excited that maybe Leonardo DiCaprio will be the Joker, which is pretty exciting. So and when I heard the story that Martin Scorsese is producing, it's like, I mean, like it's legitimate. Like it's
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think DC should do that. Like they should.
I don't know if that's a good strategy. Like from a marketing standpoint, I don't know if it's a strategy that would like mint them the kind of money Marvel is minting with their grand franchise. Yeah, but like just churning that stuff out.
They like look at the Batman trilogy that was Christopher Nolan. Like they printed money like crazy too. Sure. So, no, I don't know. It's just my opinion, and I think if okay, let's just say Martin Scorsese produces it, and it's on paper. Okay, I don't know who's going to play the Joker, but let's say Leonardo plays Joker, and it becomes this huge.
Then what are they going to come up with Joker 2?
Yeah, they're going to try. They're going to try Joker 2, but what I want them to do is that do like an origin story for each character, like Batgirl, like
Isn't that what Marvel is doing though?
No, they're not. They're doing but they are sort of doing like they are following the comic book format, which was like each character has a series, and then they have a team together movie, and then but then the series continue, right? Like Black Panther is going to come out, so then Black Panther 2, Black Panther 3, but then at the end of the year there will be Avengers with another Avengers 3 or something. I mean, but I don't want. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a.
I don't know if it'll end up like just the way it did.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm pretty excited about the Joker movie. So yeah, that was a really big news. And talking about so we are still in movie. So we were just sharing about our experiences of not necessarily in cinema, but if we sometimes we. I mean. I remember when I was in France, I had this really unlimited card, this UGC card, which actually you paid like 18 euros and you could watch like unlimited number of movies in the theater.
Wow,
so it was like so I would just watch a lot of movies alone. But then afterwards here, I got spoiled. I think I would just watch. I think I went to see Ghost in the Shell alone. But anyway. But I would watch with someone, but I didn't have, for the moment in the cinema, I didn't have this experience. But sometimes at home you would just be watching a movie with someone, and you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So we talked about this before.
Yeah.
So you have experiences to share.
Yeah.
See, this is us bringing the Bangkok into the.
But I don't think it's specific to Bangkok. But I haven't experienced it before Bangkok.
Yeah, me neither.
Let's just say like this.
Right.
But yeah, so tell me your. I think I'm talking too much. So.
No. Go ahead. Like I already shared my story. Dunkirk. Okay. I watched Dunkirk. With a Thai girl.
Okay.
Right, and I was just amazed at what was going on the screen. I had a giant grin on my face. When I really enjoy a film, when I'm really enjoying a film, especially in the theater, I like to show it. Like, I am really enjoying this. I am into this. I'm usually like not resting at the back. Like I'm not leaning on my chair. Like I'm like into the screen.
Yeah.
And there were just some sequences that just had me like, it's super excited. Like when the Spitfires were coming down and the actors were like all going crazy and there were bombs dropping, and I was just like, this is great. This is awesome. And she was just like, bro, is everything okay? Like, are you fine? Are you okay? I was like, you don't get this, do you? Because there was just so much going on the screen, and I was overwhelmed by the awesome that I was going through. And she was just, probably texting her boyfriend or something on the phone. Because obviously she didn't get it, right? But
no, but there was one instance where it was not during the movie, but after. It was the Mad Max. I went to see Mad Max and with this girl, and we were just there was nothing serious. We were just dating, and at the end of the movie, so you always ask like, so how did you like the movie? And because you were sort of when you finish watching a movie, that's the best moment. Like
yes,
it's like you talk about stuff.
You reflect on
and which is really sad because I never had this moment where you watch the movie and then you just take a really long dinner and talk about it. But usually when I watch the movie, we just say, yeah, and then they just leave. So I'm like, I end up having the discussion on my own. But anyway, and we watched Mad Max and she was like, yeah, I don't like movies. I'm like, what?
Whoa, and that was it. Never saw her again.
That's okay. It's over.
That's just your fault. You're too much of a movie buff then.
Yeah,
right. You were there for the movie. You
like
weren't there
everybody doesn't have to be as hyped up about movies and stuff.
I've had this.
But it's like saying you don't like music. Like it's movies.
Yeah, that was I think a very blanket statement. Like she probably didn't think of that before she said it.
Yeah. I don't think she realized how much she broke my heart.
Oh,
just kidding.
Yeah, probably. But I've had this with, so I've watched movies with other people, right? There are sometimes, because I just told you, right, I really like to enjoy my film when I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel people get intimidated by how much you're enjoying it. It's like, oh, you're enjoying it and I'm not enjoying it. Is it like, oh, you think I'm not getting it or something? Yeah. I think sometimes people have that, right? I've never been on the other side to tell you if it's really like that.
But is there? But it doesn't have to be movies. Like, I think I could relate to that because some people enjoy football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a football fan?
Not at all.
It's because, like, I don't see the. I mean, I'm probably hurting a lot of people's feelings now, but I don't really see the excitement, and this can be said also for films, but I don't see in terms of sports, right? I love playing sports. Like I love the adrenaline. I mean the fact that you play with friends or that you sweat, you're in the game. But I don't see the excitement in like watching someone else play the game and be excited by it. I don't know. Is it weird? Like
I don't think plenty of people watch football and enjoy it, right? It's not about the game. It's not about liking football at that point. It's about liking what's going on the screen, right? There are teams and we have people and there's the politics surrounding it. There's the exchange and there's the whole. It's like following a TV series of sorts, like.
So I guess so. It's like
two different things. It's not if you like playing football does not mean you're going to enjoy watching football on TV. I don't even think it works like that.
Yeah,
right? Like not every football fan watches. People who enjoy playing football doesn't necessarily have to mean that they're super into following football.
Yeah, and also, did you realize like some people wouldn't play a sport for the whole year, but when there's a World Cup coming up, you will see more people playing the sports outside.
I think that's
Isn't it weird? Like it's like
hype.
It's hype, right?
Yeah.
It's like sort of.
It's a massive driving force, man. People make music. Shakira writes a song or something about it, right?
Yeah.
When the World Cup is over. But it's a big deal, dude. If a bunch of kids go out and play football because the World Cup's coming up, I don't blame them. I mean, so I play video games, right?
Yeah.
When you have friends who play video games before the Cricket World Cup, right? Let's emulate the final by playing a match in the game, right? And then put it up on YouTube and be like, according to my simulation of the game in Cricket 2002 or whatever, EA Sports, right? And then you put it because you're excited about the World Cup.
It's in the game.
Exactly. It's in the game.
Yes.
So yeah, that's very natural, I think.
Yeah. Do they still have the same slogan? It's in the game.
Not at all. You see, that's where EA dropped the ball.
Okay.
It's so cool. It's in the game was EA Games. EA Sports was EA Sports was it's in the game.
I don't know.
EA was Challenge everything.
I think the last game I played was NBA
EA Sports.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a YouTube video of the guy doing it properly. The guy who voiced it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like for example, talking about voices, like you don't have the. You remember there was a time where all the trailers where they had the voice by
of course.
In a world.
Yeah. I love that. You see, that was Mad Max, the Mad Max trailer, the original Mad Max trailer, which is.
You mean when you said the original? You mean the one with Mel Gibson?
Yeah. I looked. From recent memory, like I remember that one. That was cool.
It would be interesting
when trailers were recited, right?
It would be interesting to. Cool. I think, but they have been for trailers. They have been doing that voice. I mean, not that the same guy, but that voice for like the whole movies.
You tell the audience about the film that they might watch.
I think now I'm kind of thinking about it. Like maybe it was part of because sometimes you have to use the same thing for radio and for television. I mean, like because
that was probably the reason.
That's why probably the reason because. And also, and now they've removed it because I think people are visually more trained, and
we don't have.
They're also tired, I think, of that voice.
And you're reaching people through more, like Facebook. You're reaching people through social media. You're reaching to them through TV. So it's video is more prevalent, I guess.
So now you just raised another topic: social media. So you said you had a lot of things to. Okay, wait. Let's just. There's another example. There was also a girl when watching movie, when something happens, like she would ask like, why did that happen?
But listen, let me tell you why she was doing that. She was just super into you, right? And she just wanted to tell you all about the intricacies of the film and what just happened. Right?
Yeah, but
you didn't get the message, did you?
Yeah, no, I didn't.
But you were annoyed.
Yeah, but I was annoyed because I was like, yeah, but that's the point of the movie. When something shocking happens. Actually, they want you to watch the movie more to find out why that happened. Like that's, yeah.
Yeah, some people are chatty. They like it. Like let's chat about it. Yeah. Or maybe she wasn't into it at all. The film.
Yeah, I think so. She was just watching the movie for me. Right. Okay. Anyway, that. So let's talk about. So now let's talk about social media. So I was just saying I had a different interpretation of Rear Window, right?
Yeah.
When I was saying, was there any more movies?
Rear Window is one movie we can talk about. That.
I mean, I have another topic, but it's we can talk about it later. But about movies. So I made a video about where I made the parallel saying that Rear Window is sort of the older version of our social media, where we are curious about what's going on in the world, like what's everybody's doing, right? Not necessarily our friends, but sometimes even people we don't know. So what do you think about that? Like, I mean, I'm not saying Rear Window is only about that, but it's like that's one of the things that I could take from.
I've actually given it a lot of thought. Like you told me about this before. I've seen the video. I think you are right about it. If you look at social media and you look at that one thing social media does, right? Social media does a lot of things, and it does a lot of things really right. And one of those things is, the word I used was voyeurism, right? Like to spy on other people's lives. Rear Window was a lot about that, I would say. It was also a lot about, this curiosity and this observation, whatever. But there is that thing about social media that is really prevalent. Like the thing that social media does really well is that it allows you to very passively know about the people around you and the people you know, right? What is that guy doing? What is that guy eating? What is she doing with her life right now? Oh, look at that person. They went for a movie. That and it's something you just very passively consume because it's there on your screen. And you just learn about, oh, that person is having a fun time, or that person isn't having a fun time. That you get something out of that by knowing that one friend that you haven't really kept in touch with right now is watching that movie or something like that, right? Rear Window had a little bit of that aspect to it. I would agree to that.
And also, like I said, they sort of justify this the character trait of voyeurism of this guy, of him being a photographer, right?
Right.
That's what I really like also.
That makes sense then, right? That's how it ties.
Yeah, it's the
whole thing that you.
I know everybody talks about it, but nobody does anything about it. But it's like, for example, we were having lunch, right? And we didn't take out our phone anytime when we were talking, right? But but the other day I was having breakfast and I just saw like two people sitting across, just in front of each other, and they were on their phone.
Definitely.
So, like, what's the point of coming to a restaurant and eating together when you are on your phone?
They just wanted to eat, man. Like they were just hungry, but it wasn't about the social interaction, right?
Yeah.
It was about.
But do you think this is sounds like a parent ranting? But do you think it's dangerous? Like, is it
dangerous? No, it's a new way of life. It is. We are going through a transitionary phase. I think we are going to another place. Like evolution is taking place at a pace that we can't even keep up. I forget the name of this one guy. He's a video games critic. He's also an author, professor.
Mm-hmm.
He called it the age of the rectangle. And oh man, that just like it's like a home run, right? Like we spend all of our time, in front of the rectangle, like the screen right here, this laptop, your cell phone, right? Your TV. It's what the new age is. That's where we're going.
No, but like for example, I'm really scared about when it comes to social media. There's like I don't like scrolling down on Facebook because, and I know I'm missing out a lot of my friends' stories or like. I mean, I usually get a notification, but I don't really sit there and scroll through the stories because I kind of feel like I'm being desensitized about stuff. Like you watch, I think we've talked about. I don't know if we talked about because you're bombarded with information, right?
Sure. So yeah.
In one video, you watch a kid from Syria starving to death, right? And then you scroll down, you see a video of another puppy just being.
Right.
So like what? So I forget that like that.
Right. There's a reason why it works. There's a reason why the Facebook feed really works.
So you don't think that's dangerous? Like just
dangerous
being ignoring like.
Look, once I put the label and call it dangerous, I can stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do. I want to sit down and see what it is, why it's working, why it's done this way, why is it that people are so addicted, literally addicted to this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know everything about it. So I can do it and make a lot of money.
Okay, so that's a really good. But that's a really good.
Right, putting labels on things is just like the easy way out, right? I don't want to do that. It is, probably it is dangerous. I agree with you on that.
No, I'm not saying. Because this is the point of like a lot of people don't like nobody. I don't know if there's a podcast actually talking about this. Like,
I'm sure some people out there do talk about this stuff, and I've had conversations with people before who are extremely fascinated about these things. Some people like to step away and observe, right? And I love doing that.
Yeah.
I was saying like the content on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
It works like the example that you gave of the puppy and the kid from Syria.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely that puppy thing was probably an animated image, and the video of the kid from Syria was probably 1 minute, 1 minute 20 flat, right, with captions and all of that. It works like that because you get a lot of information really quickly and you can move on, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't take up your time. It doesn't take up any of your attention, right? It keeps your eyes there for that 90 seconds and then it lets you go away. That's why the Facebook feed really works, right?
I go to a lot of these meetups, right? So there were these three girls I was talking to, and one of them we were just talking about movies because I think she said something about Belgium, and then I just watched In Bruges, who's like takes place in Belgium, and this girl was like, no, I cannot watch movies, and I was like, what? Why? And she was like, yeah, I don't have enough attention span. I was like, what, really? So is this where we are going? I mean,
definitely it's where we're going.
So then, you think the movies will be 2 minutes long? Like there are already movies 2 minutes long.
But they have a different purpose, right? They solve a different purpose. No, I don't think movies are going anywhere.
Let's just pretend we're aliens, right? We just landed on Earth.
Pretend I am.
Okay, we are aliens. Why is human interaction more important than interaction between a machine and a man?
More important.
Yeah.
How can you jump to that conclusion?
I'm just asking, like, is it more important?
It is important. I don't know. Is it more fun? I'll tell you that straight up. Yeah, talking to a human being is just, it's like a game, right? And it's got infinite
Maybe
depth.
This should be our podcast, like two aliens talking about humans.
Sure. Yeah. We are aliens in Bangkok, at least. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I spent most of my adolescence in front of a computer screen, right? And I made video games, I did computer programming. It was fun. Like, it's a whole different kind of, you design systems and then they talk back to you and you have to change them, shape them, and fun and fascinating things come out of that. But then I stepped out and then I discovered human beings, like people. And you talk to them, and there's this whole, it's like a chemistry set, right? Like when you're talking to someone else, like they have their experiences, you have yours, and then there's this common discussion that's going on, of topics both you people know something about, and then they clash, right? It's like a giant car crash, and there's shit just comes out of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? The amount of things, the possibilities are infinite.
But at the same time, how many times does that happen to you though? It's like coming across a human that blows your mind, like
blows. Okay, so no, they don't blow my mind like that. I'm talking about every conversation that you have, even with a stranger down the street. Like all of those conversations, they have so much weight behind them, right? Like you were living your life, you're walking down the street, some shit probably happened to you. You didn't enjoy your day at work, and you meet that other guy who's had this life behind them, and then those two people meet. And then they use this thing called words, like language, to interact, right? It's so rich, right? There's so much that can go through, like the possibilities. Like I said, there's just so much that can happen over there. It's crazy.
There was because I now watch more YouTube videos than I read articles, but I love watching video essays and
right, okay,
like analysis about stuff. So there was an analysis on Ghost in the Shell where the conclusion, that the interpretation that he gave, and which was really beautiful, is to not consider because the fear that usually when you talk about AI, when you talk about like technologies, that eventually technology maybe will replace us, right? But no, I mean that's maybe it's the movies that put that idea in our minds, but the point of the Ghost in the Shell is to say that there can something beautiful can come out with the fusion of both, not necessarily one replacing the other.
If it hasn't already,
Yeah, I mean that's so. What do you think about it? Do you think like at certain point, like cell phones, we have it everywhere, so it will be. I mean, in our brain, like Black Mirror. Have you talked about this here? Yeah. So. I think we should do another episode of the Black Mirror just because it's
I need
so
to catch up
fascinating.
on a couple of episodes of Black Mirror.
And also, it's like we don't need to follow; like you can watch on random episodes. But what do you think of?
So coming from video games, right? There's this one video game that I really like. It's called Deus Ex, and the theme of the game is human augmentation, right? And if you look out right now, you take the example of the cell phone. It's already happened, right? We're already at that stage where there is this thing that pretty much augments you, right? It does. If I take away your cell phone from you, you're a lesser person, pretty much, right? Because it gives you so much power, right? It connects you to like an infinite database of knowledge, right? You can pull up any information from the internet and just know more, right? Be readily available. Information is readily available to you. It also connects you to people. Like it does all of those fascinating things, right? But then it also delivers puppy videos to you. Right, you see how those things are still hanging in the balance. Like the cell phone, it is an extremely powerful device. The smartphone, you can't take that away from me, right? Because with it, I am just something else, right? That aspect of technology is great. Like we need more of that.
Like I mean, there is this like for some people say like. Do guns kill people? No, not guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Right.
But so, do you think that's also valid for technology? Like, it is what you make of it. Like, it's.
So now, see, that's a separate debate. Like, because the very fact that I have this thing that augments me, should I get rid of it? Because it takes me away from who I really am. That conversation where we're better off without machines. Sure, we we have a lot of conveniences that come with machines, but do we need those conveniences in the first place? Right? See, that's like it's like I can take the train today and go home, or I can walk all the way.
This was
my legs get stronger, but I waste 3 hours of my life.
But this is my question, right? As a social being, like if let's just take there's a cell phone that you are using now, which allows you to do a certain task in 1 hour, right? But you buy a new cell phone which allows you to make the same task but in 40 minutes, so you save 20 minutes, right?
Right.
So it's great. You save 20 minutes, maybe 20 minutes per day, maybe in a year. Like I don't know, do the math. Like it will be so it's really good, but. It depends on how well you're using that 20 minutes, right? So I'm just saying,
what does it replace?
I'm just saying, like first when we say like first world, third world, like some people have more freedom than others, but it really depends on what they are using that freedom for.
Definitely.
If you have freedom and if you have time, but you're still, I don't know, like
I get what you're saying. Like you have an infinite database of knowledge out there waiting for you. how are you putting it to good use? Puppy videos, okay, that's good on you, bro. Right? Yeah. But there's also you can learn about whatever you want. You can do it now.
Yeah,
our ancestors could not do that.
Yeah, I was just having this discussion. I was just asking plainly to he was a parent and we just met in a meetup and I was just asking no, it's an interesting discussion. If imagine you're in a BTS and you're going from one point to another and it will take you 30 minutes and you spend time on your phone. And I was just asking, so if you were that person, what would you do? Would you look around? Would you talk to the stranger? Which is really it's really
now it's considered weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really considered weird. And some people say, yeah, but it's better to read a book. Yeah, but he's maybe reading a book on a cell phone. It's and you say but they play video games. But is it so bad to play video games? Right. Doesn't it also make your brain work? It's
now you see it's all relative. What kind of a video game is it? Right? That's the question you want to ask. Yeah. And dig deeper. Most video games that you're talking about on cell phones, they're probably just glorified advertisement delivering platforms, right? They just want to deliver more advertisements to you. But books, yeah, sure, read a book. Books are cool. Watching puppy videos.
Do you know that we will just do a break? But do you know that the puppy also means boobs?
No, I never heard that.
Just to bring a little bit jokers, because I think, but it's a really good discussion. I think this discussion.
We'll pick it up after the break. What do you think?
Yeah, I think because I also don't want to record a whole hour and then just something bad happens and.
Okay.
So let's just do a break.
Definitely.
And come back. Okay, so we're back after a short break. So the other point that I had on my list of things to talk about was ambiguous endings in movies. So you were just going to take an example.
Inception came to mind, but it wasn't really an ambiguous ending. It wasn't.
It wasn't for you.
I mean, it was ambiguous, but it wouldn't have changed much of what you saw before. So it wasn't a twist, right? You see the difference.
I don't mean twist. I mean ambiguous. I don't know what else.
But in what to what effect? Does it change everything that you've seen up until that point?
It doesn't give you. Let's just say like this. It's an ambiguous ending for me. Is it doesn't give you the closure that you were expecting.
I see. Okay.
Which is a really good thing because then it sort of keeps you thinking about the movie. Because if it's
Inception totally did that, right? Left you thinking about what might have actually happened. What other examples do you have?
Have you seen the movie Enemy?
No.
It's actually it's one of the films directed by the director of Blade Runner 2049. The guy who's doing Blade Runner. He has done Arrival. He has done Prisoners. He's he's on his streak of movies that you have to watch. So he has done this movie with Jake Gyllenhaal based on if I'm not mistaken, on a Mexican novel about. You have to. I can't really explain. I can't spoil it. It's but at the there's a last frame of the movie. There's the guy goes into a room and sees something. His wife changed into something.
Okay.
Which totally, I don't know, creeps up on you, and you don't. Yeah. So that's a really ambiguous ending. I don't know. I haven't read the book, and I'm really interested about this because most of these endings I feel work best on books than movies. Because in a way, movies, I feel like people expect a closure. Do you see what I mean? It can be the same story. It can be a brilliant adaptation. But I still feel like in movies, when people do ambiguous, I love ambiguous endings because it's sort of that sort of keeps me going. But I think a lot of people who just watch movie for the sake of it, to get that answer. I had some questions at the beginning. I want them answered at the end, right? Which I totally understand. But
at some level, it's really basic, isn't it? Don't you feel that it's why is it that the last, the ending of the film has to decide whether you enjoyed it or not, or everything has to hinge on what happens right at the end, right? This is why I can't. I'm so separated from video games right now. I'm just not into them anymore because they've developed very recently, I think, this obsession with endings, right? They're super obsessed about endings because you know what you can do in a game that you can't do in a movie is like deliver more than one.
Yeah.
Right, and that seems to get the audience. Like people who play games, people who make games, they're all about how many endings you're going to have. And I'm like, how is this exciting? How is this fun? How is this? Because it's downright stupid. Like how do you tell one story?
The customer gets more value for his money, right? He gets to
Maybe
play
that's what it is,
three or
because you
four
can
times.
put it at the back of the box. So, hey, look, listen, you play this game the second time, it's gonna be a different ending. You know, it's gonna have the story's gonna have a different conclusion. Yeah, sure. You know, if you put a lot of work into it and design a story that is told in a way where if you just change the last 10 minutes, something completely different comes out. But that's hardly ever the case. It's probably just a different boss fight at the end. You know what I mean? Like, I also like ambiguous endings because I want the ending to have nothing to do with the last, an hour and a half that I spent watching it, because it devalues the content of the very content of the film that you spend so much time watching. You know what I mean? That I have that kind of a relationship with the endings to the films and games, right?
Why do you think it takes the value out of it?
Because it hinges too much on one part of it. Like you're giving too much importance to something that happens right at the end.
Okay.
Right? I know movies build up, right? And they pay off at the end. But is that all they do? Is that all stories do? No.
Like when they're talking about the build up. I think if you want like a class on how to build up something and to like get to a climax, and I'm not going to take a movie. I'm going to take like a soundtrack.
Okay.
If you take a soundtrack, the way the composition, the musician composes the music.
Right.
I don't know if you like. I mean, this we can't do this without listening actually to a music, but there is okay, of course, the famous theme, for example, like if I listen to Dark Knight trilogy theme by Hans Zimmer, right? There's a so there's a I think it's called Masanan, or there's this repetition of the music. And then he gives you hints of what's going to come, which means that I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's like a pure, like you are eating a cake and you get to the center of it and it's like the best part of it. But it's like, but in the when you're eating and there's on the top there's a topping which sort of reminds you of what's going to be. You know what I mean? Like there's and like when you hear that music, I don't know if everybody has this visceral experience as I have when I listen to a soundtrack, especially for movies. Is that the composer is sort of, and that's the beauty of art. Like it's a language in itself. It's talking to you without talking to you.
Right.
And it's saying like, okay, this is what you came for. This is what you wanted to listen to.
Right.
It's coming. Don't worry. Like, but listen to all the things I can do before that. Like, so that, and I think that's I love when movies do that. Like, and like I love when music does that. I don't know if dance. I think dance, I guess, can also do that with like a finishing move or something. But it's ambiguous. About ambiguous movies to come back after this monologue is there was a really interesting. I was talking. I don't know. I forgot with whom I was talking to, but movies are obviously, even if they're adapted from novels or if they're original screenplay, they sort of come from a written form, right? I don't think people just go on to shoot movie. Like you have to have a script, a screenplay, and there was he said it in a really beautiful way. He just said that why are we like trying to make sense of an ending of a movie so much when what is trying to do is to become a medium of its own and not like a mirror of the screenplay. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a twin. It's not a reproduct. It's not a copy of the screenplay. It takes its own life. It has its own life. It becomes its own thing.
I think what that person might have been trying to say, what they might have been trying. The thing is, a lot happens when you take a screenplay and turn it into a film.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the details, right? You're watching those too, right? Especially a person who knows how to, like, who knows what goes into making a film. You're watching that stuff, right? How the film did that one cut. Like there's no cuts in the screenplays probably have cuts in them. I don't know, but those are the intricacies that you're taking them in minute by minute. The film does that, And then it also does this thing called an ending at the end, right? You know, there are those two things, right? Not everything hinges on the end. I think there's a lot of like cool things that happen during a film, right? And it's probably got nothing to do with the story even, right? So I think, yeah, too much.
But also, I think it's a really effective way, especially if it's a really powerful, high concept movie. I mean, I'm not saying that only high concept movies should do this, but like the example I took, Enemy, that movie. I mean, there's nothing else. I mean, there's a really good performance, there's really good like direction and screenplay. But if I didn't have that ending, I don't think I would remember it as much as I do, because that sort of it sort of lodged into my mind like as a library. So as a reference.
See, when someone's a build-up and a payoff, it's like it's the oldest trick in the book. It always works, right? If done properly, it's awesome, right?
Yeah.
That's just one thing that you can do, right?
Sure.
See, there are other things that films should be able to do.
Yeah.
Just like games, right? Like, it's not just that. I mean, a build-up and a payoff, like, sure. Awesome things. I can name movies that have done that, right? I mean, the ending to Saw, right? Have you seen Saw?
The first one? Or,
yeah,
I mean, there were 7.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, of course. The last 10 minutes of that movie just blow your brains out, right? Because, yeah, you can do that. Because, you know, you spent an hour plus, you know, dedicating your time to this thing.
Yeah.
Of course, if you do something really badass at the end, it's going to leave a lasting effect, like the example you take from Enemy.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, it's awesome, but hey, there's other things.
Yeah, it's true. So I guess the idea is what that we are getting at, and we will not give a conclusion. We will do an ambiguous ending to a discussion about ambiguous.
Okay, you do that.
I would just say that. I would just say I think the effect that the reaction you had is more important than the initial expectation that you had. Actually, I think that's what I want to get at. Whether it's art or like I don't know. I could go on about this for a long time, but what I want to get is the really important gooey part that I talked about when eating the chocolate is. I wanted to end on a really epic note. Is that the things we grew up watching.
Oh,
so
right.
I was just telling you, like in India. So of course, I'm from India and Vidhvat too. I mean, I would just like absorb stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then most of the time what I watched was cartoons, and I had Cartoon Network.
Right.
So so I'm just going to go through stuff like with the first thing that we talked. I mean, one of the first things that we talked about was SWAT KATS.
SWAT KATS, yeah.
I think there were 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, that's
even before I knew what seasons were. And you sort of knew they changed the intro, but you didn't know that was the second season. Right? Because they have 2 intros.
Right.
And one of the most badass intros ever.
Oh,
yes. I remember watching a high school kids playing it live on stage. I think, yeah.
Oh.
So,
that music always gets me going.
So how would you explain people who don't know SWAT KATS? What is SWAT KATS? And by the way, SWAT KATS is SWAT
not CATS. I learned that the hard way when I was like looking for SWAT KATS. I was like, oh really?
Did you? Did you really? I mean, you thought that cats were spelled with a K?
Yeah, I didn't know it was with a K. Right? I didn't know they stylized it like that.
Yeah.
So I'm searching on Google. I'm like, why isn't anything showing up?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh wait a second, it's a K. How do you explain SWAT KATS? I have no idea. It's just these 2 badass. They are cats, right?
Yeah, actually, it's it's the same world that we imagine, and except that instead of people, everyone is a cat. Actually.
Yeah. In the age of the internet, that should be like a thing, right? Like it's a TV show with cats in it.
Yeah.
But it also has, but there's this team of 2 cats. They're like vigilantes. Like they have this crazy jet plane under a junkyard, and it's an underground runway. I mean, those are the cool parts.
Yeah. The other day, I was just reading a comment on YouTube. I remember I was just in this nostalgic of a river of videos, watching intros and stuff like. And when I just scroll down to, I don't usually read comments, but I just wanted to read what people were saying, and there was one guy saying, "Oh man, they should have made the best cocaine in the '80s because all the cartoons are really cool."
Yeah, because
they were like, yeah, it's I mean
Charles, there was like cool music and crazy visuals.
Yeah, so actually, so there are these. So it's an imaginary city, of course, where everybody is a cat, and it's like really there are these two badass guys who just I think they are like mechanics or something,
Right.
and they just they have this cool airplane which can do a lot of. I mean, it's really. I mean, each episode you just come up with new stuff.
Yeah, every episode is about this new missile.
Do you remember there was a Knight Rider, right? There was a series called Knight Rider.
Yeah, of course, Knight Rider. Yeah.
So I guess I think it's sort of SWAT KATS is inspired from Knight Rider because it's a car, right, or a bike.
Yeah. In Knight Rider it's a car.
It's a car.
It's a car.
Was it with David Hasselhoff?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Best shit ever. Have you seen it? The Hoff. Have you seen Knight Rider?
I used to watch it when there was a channel in India. There was a channel called Star World. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course.
And that's where I discovered Xena, the Warrior Princess, Hercules,
Knight Rider,
Lost World. Yeah, they had Night World there. And they had Dark Angel with Jessica Alba.
Best soundtrack.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, that's cool, right?
So cool.
So for those, it's sort of it's a really cool cartoon that I think everybody should watch.
So going back to the whole timeless thing.
Yeah.
I got back. I tried to get back into it. Like I've tried watching SWAT KATS again. I can't do it.
Really?
Yeah, I can't do it. I mean, obviously, like, I'm not enjoying it half as much as I did when I was, I don't know, 12 years old.
No, I would still watch it. Like I was.
You've seen it recently?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't. I was just like, what is this?
Like I was.
Really?
I can't watch Flintstones. You know.
Flintstones I've not seen recently.
But
Jetsons.
But I can SWAT KATS I can totally watch.
Johnny Bravo. I think I can still watch Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, and the other day I was watching again Extreme Ghostbusters. Do you remember Extreme Ghostbusters?
No.
It was this.
It's
Ghostbusters. Yeah, it was also on Cartoon.
Okay.
This is Ghostbusters, but it's a new generation, and it's really cool. And actually, when I was thinking, like when I used to watch it, there were some monsters which were really scary actually on the screen. Like, and I was like, now I'm looking at it. I was like, I can't believe that they put this on a cartoon network.
Right. Scooby-Doo. Remember Scooby-Doo?
Wow, Scooby-Doo. I had the best times watching Scooby-Doo. I mean, and even if they were the same episodes, I would just watch them over.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not 80s. They're from I guess 60s.
I have no idea.
They're really old. Yeah. So yeah. But and talking about timelessness, Scooby-Doo I think is timeless.
Yeah.
And they tried to
Tom
make
and Jerry.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry. I mean, there are things that everyone I guess in a way will like. I don't know about the new generation, but Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean.
Like everybody enjoys
if you don't get Mr. Bean, I don't get you.
They're like Tom and Jerry, right? The original one, because they made Tom and Jerry kids. They made a lot of iterations.
No, I'm talking about the original one.
The original one. I think which is like 145. I think I have all the episodes.
When is that from?
Batman the animated series, maybe you don't understand, but do you know Batman animated? But that like if you talk to anyone who likes remotely anything animated, it's like for them it's like a reference. Right?
Yeah.
What else? Like, I think there are things that everybody likes.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Do you remember that too?
Oh.
Dude, I want to go watch. I heard so many things about that show. Like it's got some hidden meaning or something behind it.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, do you know about Ed, and Eddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, some same stuff about.
But
that.
I remember I would watch it like whenever it was on, but I was not following it like it is, because the drawing I remember there was like really wiggly and I was not really into that and the style. So there was what else were you like Johnny Quest?
Johnny Quest, yeah.
But not the old one. I really love the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest.
Oh, okay, I don't know about that one.
You know the intro, like one of the best intro music.
I don't know.
Okay, I will send you the link.
Okay,
but but I don't know why, but I would just spend time watching these things, and I think they sort of fed my imagination. They captured my imagination. Powerpuff Girls. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Powerpuff Girls, and it's really.
There's some remake.
It's also really. I think maybe they made some additional episodes, but I think it's really hard to make a girl-centered show, and I think they really nailed it. And talking about Powerpuff Girls, it's really, I can still watch it, and I think I watched it again.
Yeah.
It's on iFlix. Do you know iFlix?
No.
It's like the Netflix of Asia. I think it's more Asian.
Okay.
I subscribed to iFlix just to watch Mr. Robot because I wanted to watch the
Mr.
show.
Robot, have you seen it?
Oh, I watched the first season. I didn't see the second one.
Don't, because the first season was the best. Like I've only seen half of the second season, but bro, like, blew my brains out.
Yeah.
Mr. Robot was freaking.
But that I think we should talk about that.
We should talk about Mr.
Because that's a whole other tangent that we can go on.
Oh.
But it's and talking about Powerpuff Girls, I think his name is Taptovsky, the guy, the creator of it. He did Samurai Jack. Do you remember Samurai Jack?
Samurai Jack. Never saw it though.
Oh,
I've heard lots of good things.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool show. I like it's really simple, but like really, really stylish visuals and really beautiful colors, and it's really cool. It's really badass story. It's like what a samurai who travels through time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So, what else? Like there was a series, Men in Black series. Have you seen that?
Like cartoon?
Yeah, there was a Men in Black series, which was also, it was a really short-lived show, but it was still really cool. But I remember there was a moment where they were like just putting out like cartoons like crazy. I don't know about now because now when I see the cartoon shows, when I go to a hotel or something, sometimes I'll just switch to the Boomerang or something. Mm-hmm. I think the kids are still watching the cartoons that they made in the 80s.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
I mean, I've heard of all the new stuff like Ben 10 or whatever.
Oh yeah, Ben 10 is really huge. And
Bob the Builder. I don't know.
Yeah, but Bob the Builder, there was already Bob the Builder when I was.
I was probably getting out of cartoons by that point. Like I remember.
And also, Bob the Builder is. It was not for my age group actually.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, is there an age group really? Like it was. I don't know, but like Tom and Jerry doesn't have an age group.
Yeah, but Bob the Builder was specific. Like it was very too. It was too boring for me. I don't know.
I never watched it. I don't know anything about Bob
like
the Builder.
The way Simpsons got less funny as I grew older. You know?
Okay.
I'm not saying Simpson is bad, but it's just at a certain point I didn't find it funny. Like,
okay.
I'm now really into Rick and Morty.
I've not been watching. There's a new season, right? Yeah.
There's like 3 seasons. I think 3 seasons, and it's like it's especially for a fan of science fiction and H.P. Lovecraft and all the movie references and stuff. You love it, and it's the same. Like they bring this philosophical undertone to it, which is
I tried watching it. I think I saw a couple of episodes of that. Even South Park, I saw a little bit. Never really got into it.
South Park, I think when they started, I think now they are like at season 20 or something. They
have a lot of episodes.
But what I was really impressed was that their format of the simple animation allowed them to, because for example, compared to Family Guy, if I remember correctly, listening to the commentary of Seth MacFarlane, is that it takes them 1 year to make one episode. But South Park, it takes them 1 week, so which means they can be really current in their topics.
I've heard this before.
So
they can like comment on things that are happening.
Yeah, that's really impressive. And do you know about the creators of South Park? They made a movie called Basketball. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Should watch it. It's really funny. It's they just get drunk and then they invent a new sport called basketball. It's like baseball and basketball combined. And it's really funny. It's one of those funny 90s movies.
Oh, okay.
And the main characters are full of the name. So yeah, what else do you remember from your?
Out of cartoons, like I don't.
Not necessarily cartoons. It can be.
I definitely grew up. Like my dad was super into 80s action films. Right, I grew up on stuff like Rambo.
Yeah.
Right? Commando. Yeah. You know, movies like that. Right? Which I watch them right now. I'm like, wow, this movie is really silly, but it's fun, right? It's action. Yeah. It's got that 90s click to it, right? It's cheesy, but it's fun. Like I don't know, True Lies or something.
Yeah, but that's a really good point that you're bringing because a lot of people now make fun of Arnold Schwarzenegger, they even make fun of his acting, of his accent and stuff. But I think for me, he sort of changed the way action heroes looked, the way that the muscle toned look. Because before that, like if you see the 70s, like nobody has like muscle tones or like they will eat a lot of people, but you wouldn't say they were. But I'm not saying just because you have muscles you can fight, but I'm just saying like there was he changed like sort of the action hero genre. I mean he brought that I mean that's what I and also like I guess his movies are also I mean I think he was like the highest paid actor right back then.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was like
Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that stuff, and definitely like Jackie Chan movies.
Oh,
Right?
Jackie Chan.
I would
I'll
watch
always
that
have
stuff.
respect for Jackie
I would
Chan.
just go to the
There's a new
blockbuster.
Jackie Chan movie. Have you
The
heard of
Foreigner,
it?
I
Yeah.
think they're calling it. Yeah.
Farang. No.
Oh yeah, of course, we're in Thailand. So yeah, man, like that stuff. That's what I grew up on. Right?
Yeah.
Like, in terms of movies, I would watch that stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely. There
So
was
Jackie Chan, Rumble in the Bronx.
Yeah, you see, that's my idea of a fun action film. There are lots of Jackie
I mean,
Chan
I've seen
movies.
all his movies. I just don't
I've not
remember
seen
his
most
name.
of his Chinese movies though. I won't like. I've mostly
The Drunken Master.
Drunken Master I've seen obviously.
Yeah.
That's the everyone's seen that. But like Police Story, New Police Story. Have you heard about those?
I'm sure I watched because I had the whole box set of Jackie Chan movies. So I watched.
Okay.
Me and my brother we would just watch all through the movies.
Okay.
But if you ask me the story of Police Story 3, I would be like, no, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those movies I've probably not. I've not seen those.
But it's like that guy, the dedication that he had, like just to putting together a choreography or like a fight scene. I mean, nobody comes close to that. Like nobody puts their life on the line. Like I think he was on the red list of all the insurance companies because.
Wow.
He would. I think in an interview.
The insane stunts that guy has done.
He said that he has broken every bone in his body.
Wow.
Like he doesn't have any bone. So like, can you imagine like that kind of? And sometimes even like if he gets injured, like what was I think it was Police Story 3, where he jumps from one bridge to on a yacht.
Oh, okay.
And for that scene, his ankle was already broken. So he had a cast actually, and he put like a socks which looks like a shoe to do that scene.
Oh wow!
Like so, from far away, it looks like he's wearing a shoe, but actually he's wearing a cloth over his cast that looks like a shoe. Like when you see things like that, like
I think that's what he was selling at the time. Like there are movies where if you look at the making, it was all about.
I guess you've seen.
How can we?
Yeah, I guess you've seen.
Crazy stunts.
What's his name? Every Frame a Painting video about Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Probably we're talking about the same thing, right? Yeah. Like when he jumps off that in the mall, in the middle of the mall.
Oh, that's I think he got like burned and.
Yeah, insane.
And he sort of goes down and he gets up and then walks
away.
Walks over.
Jesus.
Okay, anyway, no, those are the
Yeah, that's the stuff I'm doing.
It's now you're making me watch the Jackie Chan movies and
I'm definitely going back to that. Like even Bruce Lee films, right?
Yeah.
Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
I mean, I think Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was the first person who taught me how to eat with chopsticks.
Oh, yeah.
But he would eat them in a really peculiar way. He would not like pick the rice up. He would just put the chopsticks together and use that as
that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, it's like and it was really stylish.
You're supposed to put the bowl next to your mouth and then push the rice in.
Because sometimes some rice are sticky, right? So I would try to pick them up. I would be like, no, okay.
Yeah, that's actually considered the right way.
Oh, okay, cool. So now I've learned something new. Okay, dude. So what else? Do you have anything else to add or? I think we've done. We've done a really good run though. I think we've done similar as last time, where we done like 45 minutes and then half an hour. Now we've done I think 55 minutes and then nearly 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. We have more stuff to talk about, but we can always leave that for next time.
Yeah, sure. There's always next time.
There's always next time. I'm not going anywhere. I like Bangkok.
Oh yeah, that's so. I think that's a really good note on end. The reason why I came back to find a job here is because I like Bangkok. So, so this was Boris. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And
Vidhvat.
Okay, cool. So until next time, this is
crazy outro.
Crazy outro. We should. We haven't still found the name for the podcast. Like, so should it be? We were also talking about the fact that I have to put in the title that it's uncensored because we do.
Yeah.
We're not vulgar guys or guys who just swear for the.
But sometimes heck of punctuation marks.
Exactly, but it's just I'm just saying we shouldn't remove it. We shouldn't just authentic because that's. We are not we're not playing it. I mean, we're not doing a radio play. Just,
but some people are politically correct and some people aren't. So
yeah, but I don't think people are expecting too much from this podcast.
No, I think people should be expecting something from this podcast
because
we're dropping some.
It's true, right?
Yeah,
we're dropping
exactly.
some knowledge.
I mean, we talked about like movies, social media. What else did we talk about?
Yeah, we talked about our relationship between AI and
everything we talked about.
Yeah. So okay, so until so if you guys, I mean, we also have to say that if guys have any topics that we need to
put them in the comment section below.
Yeah, put this in the comment section. We will talk about them. And okay, of course, no religion, no politics.
Nothing that would get people riled up. No, nothing sensitive.
Yeah, anyway. So cool. Thanks everyone. See you next time. Bye.
See you.